Basic Drop for Soccer's morning show 907 is totally on me because I was trying to pour my my morning drink before the show actually started. I didn't think that you would want that on the air, just on general premise, Jared? Just, kind of me thinking out loud.
It's fine. I mean, it's not like this weekend didn't have a game where time management was an issue. Columbus and New England.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, if you got folks falling down, you got folks injured. I mean, yes, Cranky Bruce Arena and Shooter, I know that if you are here. Morning, Alex. How are you? If you're Bruce Arena or Cranky Bruce Arena, then you know that five.
That's just default Bruce Arena.
Yes, default Bruce Arena is going to have something else to talk about. So 5 equaled 8 with Columbus and New England. So new math was going on. Cranky at Red Bull Soccer, Will. No doubt about that. There's a lot of things to be cranky about, and there's plenty of time to talk about it this morning. John here, Jarrett there. Welcome to Soccer's Morning Show. And let's see. This morning we've got Atlanta United to talk about. We've got the Twos to talk about. We've got Cranky at Red Bull Soccer to talk about. Yes, Hunt City couldn't figure out Red Bull's 2 press. We were keeping an eye on that match as we were at the Fraction, keeping an eye on the Twos in Orlando City B. I know that a lot of other folks.
All you need is a Johnny Fortune to solve that problem.
True.
For the record.
Yes,
because Atlanta 2, the Atlanta United 2 had very few issues with that Red Bull press when a Johnny Fortune was on the field.
Yes, and so we've got that to talk about and be cranky about. We've got Rich. I'm sorry if you're watching already this morning, but we've got Philadelphia Union to be cranky about because Jim Curtin did it again. And there are, and thankfully Ismail Elfath either saw it or caught wind of it. And Jim Curtin got a card for shenanigans. We'll get into that. So Will is asking already this morning, can you borrow a Fortunate Son? Can you borrow a Johnny Fortune when they play Red Bulls 2 at the Joe when the return fixture is in Huntsville? I don't know how that works, Will. I don't know if a Johnny Fortune can be loaned out to Jack Collison on a one-off. Probably would depend on the day and if Johnny Fortune is busy. So that too. Alex, yes, you can add score from a freaking rebound off a keeper's back, or was it St. Louis City's tab? Yeah. You've also got what happened in your equalizer with Charlotte and Colorado. Didn't have that one on the bingo card.
Hilarious. Just absolute stupidity.
Yes. Will is suggesting an interleague short-term loan for Johnny Fortune to help out Hunt City when Red Bulls 2 comes for the reverse fixture. You ain't hearing me well. Okay, that's not good. I'm staring at my audio board, Emilio, and I'm looking at, and it's like, okay, I'll turn me up. So there we go. Bowden and Bam already in this morning with LAFC. Your only undefeated team, LAFC, but come on. I mean,
told you you'd be fine. Told you you'd get 3 points.
Bam, you were playing the Galaxy. I know that it's crazy.
It got drunk at the end.
Yeah.
It got very drunk at the end. Carlos Vela can still pull Carlos Vela things out, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he can do it at the same rate
that
he has been doing it. I think the miles per gallon have fallen off significantly.
Yeah.
But occasionally you're going to get games where you're just going to get insane moments from Carlos Vela, and he did that. Again, although the same question always arises when he does this to the Galaxy. Why don't you make him use his right foot? Why don't you stand in front of that left foot and say,
yes,
you know what? If you want to dribble past me to tighten the angle, I'll deal with that because I don't necessarily want you to. I don't necessarily want you to be able to pull this back on your left foot and curl it into the far corner, which you are one of the best at currently playing on this planet at doing.
Yeah,
you just keep letting him do it. So.
Yeah, so that's on LAG.
LAG.
Bam is admitting that LAFC should have been down at the break. And Morning, Ricky. You knew that the craziness that was going to be a part of El Trafico would be a part of El Trafico. And I'm thinking of saying El Trafico as many times as possible, because if Jason were to, I don't know, maybe listen to the replay of the show in the audio version, that you would end up with him.
You wanted to be uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah, you're looking at that kind of stuff. So we had all of that. We've got Atlanta United and Toronto to talk about. We'll get into that in opening kickoff coming up in just a little bit. The Twos had full points, 3 points, 3 goals. And great night for Nicholas Firmino coming in for an injured Johnny Vial. And yes, for those of you that saw the picture, Vial was in a walking boot. Might have sprained the ankle on the contact that happened in the first half, which caused the substitution. But Atlanta United, too, does something that no other team in MLS Next Pro was able to do this year so far, and that was knock off Orlando City B and also keep them from scoring in the first 5 minutes. So it was a busy night for the Twos, knocking off OCB at the Fraction. And thank you, Abby, for crashing the press box, by the way. And I'm going to show this on the video version. Apparently, our friends at Die Hard, and Abby, I've got to find out if this was something that was given out to the folks that were there at the match. But there were scarves that were handed out. 2 spikes, 5 stripes, 1 city, and that's one side. Let me see if there's something on the other side that is just as identifying. So, and then we have the 2 spikes on the other side. Very nice summery scarf, and it will be going up in the stacks. But yeah, Abby crashed the press box, Jarrett, and handed out scarves to me and Jason during the pregame show last night.
I'm not going to be allowed back because I didn't show up and they won 3-1 over Orlando, which is still hilarious because you finally get the the first home win of the year, and I'm not going to be allowed back. Jesus.
Well, I mean, just wear a mustache. Do the Bobby Valentine thing and just put like a fake mustache and glasses on. Maybe that.
Yeah, it's probably going to have to work. Good on him though.
Yeah,
went and got 3 points.
Yeah, and like I said, busy night for Nicholas Firmino, Eric Lopez getting the PK in the 25th. Morning Parzival. Will, speaking of left foot cutbacks, did you see Arjen Robben ran a marathon in 3 hours?
It's because he's not human?
Well, and I mean,
pro athletes are often not human. Like,
yes.
It does. Like, this is the thing of like, even the worst pro athlete that you complain about every Sunday, like for football, for example, the worst player on an NFL roster is still a freak of nature athlete, not to be trifled with. Like, we often talk about Tom Brady being a very slow human being. Tom Brady still runs a pretty good 40.
For a 40.
Yeah. Like, the guys who we malign are still freak athletes.
Of course.
They are still of like, the 1% of human beings on the planet in terms of what they are physically capable of. So yeah, no, I'm not necessarily surprised that he ran a marathon in 3 hours because he's a pro athlete.
He's a freak of nature. Yes.
Yeah. He's a genetic freak.
Yes, he's a genetic freak. Thank you, Big Papa Pump. Ricky Ricardo is maintaining that MLS should always do a Sunday 3:30 to 5:30 match. Or if you're Big FOX, they wouldn't mind doing a 5 to 7 so they wouldn't have to do an early news on a Sunday. So, yeah, the Sunday afternoon, evening thing is winning folks over for your secondary carriers.
And yes, Vic Beasley does come to mind, although I think I've seen a couple of like former players say like the biggest freak athletes are actually cornerbacks. A lot of times that's because corners are like you have to like consider how absolutely absurdly fast and quick and like fast twitch that corners are to be able to do what they do, and be able to jump and be strong. Like, corners are just absolute monster human beings, especially nowadays that they've started growing corners like AJ Terrell and like Sauce Gardner, who are ridiculously not just like freak athletes, but they're big, they're long, and they're big. So
Emilio, maybe if LAFC wins 3 to 4 in a row, will also change their tune and raise caps, DPs, etc. I know we'll spin, so I'll support that scenario. So, as long as the shiny folks want to sit there and but you got to keep an eye on John Thorrington and his capologists right now are probably league MVPs considering everything that they've been able to do. Gareth Bale, Chiellini. Take your pick when it comes to bringing in those high price talents, Atuesta, Chicho Arango, all those folks. So it'll be interesting to see how he continues to maintain these kinds of things. Will, currently without your large adult son, and I thought that the Golden Boot would be something that your Georgia Southern son Asad Liati might be chasing after if he were healthy. He's got 2 goals in less than 70 minutes of play, according to Will, this season. So. It was a big pickup for Jack, but he's dinged up at the moment. Bam is not a fan of the afternoon matches on Big FOS.
Bam's on the other side of the planet.
And that's why, 6:30 a.m., yes. Knicks, any chance Eric Lopez gets time with the first team with Gigi hurt?
Can I interest you instead in Machop Chol starting striker?
Yes. So we will get into that. That's our opening kickoff
because he did that. He did that during the preseason.
Yeah.
Jackson Conway is currently in Arizona.
Yes. No, Amelia, you're not ghosting Barry already.
No.
With this conversation, no. Miguel Barry has far more experience at MLS level than Machop Chol, but
I'm going hot hand.
Yeah, hot hand, and that's what you want. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And when you use the code Soccer Down Here 15 with our friends at Kickoff Coffee, they in turn take you get 15% off of your purchase. They take 10% and reinvest it in youth games. Very, very cool things from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So speaking of Machop Chol, kid, and I say kid because
scored a goal. It should have been the winner if they could have held on for another 30 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
Still sucks that it wasn't.
We'll get into that. And so, by the way, here is that moment, courtesy of Mike Jason and our friends at 92.9 The Game in Major League Soccer.
Here's Lennon, waiting for the whistle. Uncle steps back. There is the whistle. Lennon to the front post, and Barry couldn't get on the end of it. It bounces to Aruju in the far corner. Aruju dueling with Marshall Rutti there. Pass to Sosa. Bounced out to Chol on the far touchline. Stabbed at by Marshall Rutti. Drop back to Gutman. Gutman in the central channel again. Cuts it back into the far corner to Aruju. Aruju's crossed to Chol. Header! Score! Machop Chol scores on a header for Atlanta United. They take the lead in the 76th minute.
And that dude behind him.
That's not Jason booing, by the way.
No, that's not Jason going Chol or ooh, that's a dude because they were broadcasting the match al fresco.
Yeah.
They were outside because
didn't need a boom mic for the Nat sounds, buddy.
No. They were outside on the lanai on the press level at BMO. For those of you that didn't get the chance to listen, because you had home audio, you had Spanish language, you had French speaking crew, and so Mike and Jason were out on the lanai on the press level, and so they were very, very close to the fans that were there, and that was a dude that was less than pleased at Machop Chol scoring in with about 15 minutes to go, and I can't say enough on a couple of different levels where you have Machop come through literally as a local's local. I mean, local kid like Caleb Wiley, East Point, through the academy and that kind of stuff. Machop Chol, DeKalb County, learned how to play, was born in the Sudan, came here to the States with his family, learned how to play here in the States, and got the chance to score a goal like that. Machop scores the goal. He lifts up his jersey, Anton Forever on the T-shirt underneath, and Atlanta United had the lead with 15 minutes to go, and, yeah, it was his first. And with everything that we have seen Machop do just continuing to grow and evolve and fighting the injuries and having to fight through them, come all the way through and come out the other side. Have a moment like that. And Jarrett, I can't think of, Machope is as universally liked / loved by his teammates and ex-teammates, for those of you that follow on Instagram, than anyone that I've seen. I mean, everybody loves Machope Chol in that Atlanta United clubhouse and locker room and training facility.
Yeah, you can go look at his Instagram if you want to and see. He talks about being from the area and growing up in Atlanta, and what it means for him. But go look at the comments from players, current and past, from Atlanta United that basically was sitting there, congratulations. Marcelino Moreno was basically True Detective season 4 last year. But when you see La Banda 2.0 going out for the night, he's usually part of it. But Cho's just a very likable human being. Everyone gets along with him. He does not seem to have enemies, and it was very exciting. And just so it's very exciting to see. And just so we're clear, he is from South Sudan originally, because that basically God, how old is he? Because it might not have even been autonomous at that point, South Sudan. But it's very cool to see somebody come up and fight through all of the injuries and all of the stress and sometimes disappointment to be forced onto the field in a weird situation. He's playing as a 10. That's not anything we've ever seen him do. I don't know that he did that at Wake Forest. Generally played out wide or up top because, as I've talked about for God knows how long, he's a very interesting piece to throw on the field because he's so big, but he's very athletic and very technically sound. But he's very difficult to deal with, almost in a Breck Shea-esque way, although I think he's just longer than Breck.
Listed at 6'2" now.
Breck's more like 6'4", 6'5", but Machope is just long. It's just limbs for days. But it's almost like sometimes people don't know how to deal with those bigger, lankier players. Not just on the field, but also in terms of management. It can be tough. It can be tough to figure out how do I get them what's going to be their best fit on the field on this team. And Machope Chol took that challenge. Played as a 10, was able to get on, and they did what you would do with a guy like that, which is first of all, the ball from Gutman is filthy, because Gutman just basically is like, we're gonna work this back in the mixer. Just kidding. I'm actually gonna go to the far right side with this. No big deal, everybody. And so he does. And then it's a great ball from Luis Araujo and puts it right on the button. Joe puts it away. Should have in a better world, it's a game winner.
And Machope is 24, because I always forget about his time at Wake, and the college just kind of drifts past me sometimes. And so Machope is at 24. And right now, I'm trying to figure out when South Sudan became South Sudan.
So when he was born there, he was born in 1998, so it would still been Sudan.
Yeah, they gained independence in 2011.
Yeah, but South Sudan was after that. So
yeah.
He represents South Sudan's national team.
Yeah.
But yes, South Sudan itself, did not get independence for a long time.
Yeah,
it was autonomous in 2005.
Yes. So that's what that was our opening kickoff, because it was a very cool moment for someone that has been working, and he's been working at his game, and to have a moment like that with 15 to go Yeah, and Ricky right there with you. When he lifted the shirt and it had Anton Forever, I mean, you just sit there and yeah, I mean, if you understand the context, or even if it's explained to you on the air by Keith and Mo, and you don't quite understand the gravity of that kind of a moment, and where you're remembering someone that meant a lot to a lot of different folks, not just Machoke, but to an entire organization and to two organizations. But very, very cool stuff, lifting the shirt with 15 to go and getting his first ever goal. And Nick's, I think what you were remembering was his goal last year for the twos. And so his first team goal was in Toronto. And I want to go back one more step. By the way, that was our opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And I know that Abby is kicking herself because when she came over here to deliver the chocolate matzo crack before the weekend started, she forgot to come down here and fix the QR code that is currently in the system. So we still have the old QR code here as a graphic on Twitch. So, yeah, she's been kicking herself for not fixing the QR code. But to give Atlanta United the lead was another one of those moments. And I could probably hear Jarrett screaming from wherever he was watching the match. And before anybody had the chance to sit down, as we all barely had the chance to sit down, this happened.
First corner of the match of the 4th minute. No score. Lennon to send it out to the far corner. Goal to our right. In-swinger to the penalty spot. Header Yakumakis. Score! Boom! Yakumakis! Yorgos Yakumakis becomes one of only 7 players in MLS history to score in his first 4 starts. And Atlanta United has the lead before everyone has even sat down.
What he said, once again brought to us by our friends at 92.9 The Game and Major League Soccer. Jarrett, I mean, Yorgos Yakumakis signed. He wanted to come to Major League Soccer. He didn't want to go to the J League. And our friends at Urawa Red Diamonds, no offense. He wanted to come to Major League Soccer and challenge himself. He has wanted the attention. He has wanted the smoke, as the kids say, and he has delivered. I know that a lot of folks this week will be keeping an eye on either the groin or the hamstring or whatever muscle injury for us.
He was healthy enough to drag Bernardeschi away from trouble.
Yeah.
Yako had like a very Steven Adams moment. Steven Adams, the New Zealand-based center,
yes,
for Memphis, who's
one of
the most entertaining basketball players alive, and one of the strongest human beings I've ever seen in my life. Where, like, if you've ever seen them when he was with OKC, there was a fight, and he just grabbed a dude that was like 6'10" and just picked him up like a toddler and was like, "All right, man, we're done here." But it was a very Steven Adams moment where Bernardeschi got into it with Caleb Wiley, which, first of all, the entirety of Atlanta will fight you over Caleb Wiley.
Yes.
And second of all, Yako just grabs him, just gets him out of there. Like, no, I'm going to save you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you from yourself.
I'm going to do you a solid, sir.
Yeah. So
I mean,
he was healthy enough to do that.
Yes. No, I mean, that was once again seeing what Yorgos Yakumakis brings to the table, scoring in 4 in a row. And, you see that we talk about positional gravity a lot. And, it's a lot of folks are drawn to Yorgos Yakumakis when it comes to his game, and that frees up a lot of other folks. And Kefsey says, I definitely enjoyed Caleb, never scared of Italian Slim Shady.
Yeah.
That's not wrong.
Yeah. Caleb doesn't really care. I don't think he's really worried about having to fight anybody, because I think Caleb believes in Caleb, which is an important thing to have in life as a pro athlete. Caleb believes that Caleb can handle the problems that Caleb might get Caleb into.
Yes.
And Caleb was ready to go.
Yeah.
But Yorgos said, no. No, we're gonna protect everybody.
And I'm still trying to figure out how Bernardeschi didn't get a card for all of the pushy shoving and all of that nonsense.
Did he not? I thought he did.
I didn't think he did. I didn't think he got a card. Let me double check it. But I didn't think that. I mean, I could be completely and totally wrong because I was wrapped up in the match. But so I'm going backwards, looking at all the other games. Going to be mad about some other things coming up in just a bit. Lineups. Let's other reason. Yeah, 63rd. He did. Okay, so other now it's listed as Bernardeschi yellow card. Other reason. That's how it's listed. Other reason. Okay.
Well, that's fine. He got a card, and look, I mean, Giacomakis just defused the whole situation. That was great. The thing, I guess, for me is like Giacomakis has been so. He's just been so much everything you really wanted him to be. In that, you talked about, he wanted that smoke. He wanted to come here. Got the move from day one of the press conference. He's been talking about doing the you'll be able to pronounce my name when you're chanting it in the supporter section.
Yeah.
And are you going to wear number 7? Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
He has been about that smoke from day one, and he has answered the bell every single time. And it's not just being in the right place for goals. It's not like he's just popping up for goals and disappearing again. He damn near created another one, jumping in front of Sean Johnson early in the game, right after the first goal.
Had the header and it just went the wrong way. Oh man.
He works his tail off. Was right there on the bench. After he comes out, he's done everything I think that you could have wanted him to do. And hopefully it continues, but I mean, hopefully he's okay in terms of the injury. And it seems like Atlanta, and just so our expectations are where they need to be, it seems like Atlanta has been very risk averse this year with injuries. Go look at the way they dealt with Thiago Almada, because they talked about he's day to day. I don't know for sure. If you asked me to lay money on it, I would bet money that if it was a playoff game, Thiago Almada probably would have played.
Yeah, I think so.
But you got a tough stretch coming up. And you would rather him miss 1, maybe 2 more games and be good to go for a very extended run than run him out there and have something go wrong and lose him for 3 months.
Yeah, and that's key. And I think you're going to see the same. You're going to see the same with Giacomakis that you saw with Almada. And also, you've got to think of it this way. I know that folks might have been surprised that Thiago Almada was not in the lineup or even on the bench. But you've got to give, Big Shot Bob something else to think about. It's like, he's on the plane. He's practicing. He's on the plane. It gives you have to have them prepare for everything. If you don't have Thiago Almada on the plane, you don't have him in the videos, you don't have him on the practice field. I mean, you've got to have him deplaning. You've got to have him as a part of the group. So that way, Toronto has to sit there and it's like, okay, Almada's on the plane. We've got to prepare for that. And then have them restructure everything when he's not in the 18 or when he's not in the 11. Give the opponent more things to think about. There's nothing wrong with gamesmanship when you're on the road, especially in a building like BMO.
No, there's nothing wrong with gamesmanship. It's exactly what you're going to do. We've talked about the rules with the rules with injuries and the way we report injuries and the way we talk about it. And I know reporters and fans alike get really annoyed by it, but that's the way the rules are written. Teams are going to take advantage of that in a way that benefits them. And you're gonna have him on the trip. If you had more room on the bench, you might have put him on the bench.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't going to go, just to say, hey, maybe he's available.
Hey, look over there. Hey, see, look at that. Look, hey,
we got an Almada.
See, look at that. So you can only go as far. You can only go as far as the airplane in the situation and have him dressed out and have him with his carry-on. But that's what you're staring at here. So always remember that too in these kinds of situations. Nix, Before Insigne came on, Toronto felt like Bernardeschi and friends versus Atlanta. Not wrong.
It did, and you saw it when he came on, and they were more lively. And granted, they're chasing the game. Atlanta had ceded some possession. Toronto had found some momentum. The game state kind of tilted that way, but you kind of see that Toronto has an idea here of getting the firepower on the field together, where it's more than one person you're focusing on, and you kind of saw it in flashes. And then of course you get the last goal. Which is just still sucks in a major way, because you are 30, 40 seconds away from probably, if you clear that ball and if you can get it down the other way,
you're done.
That's probably it. Probably game over. And it's right there. Instead, you get the cutback cross in. Santi slides thinking it's going to go through, I think, and then ends up kind of taking himself out of position in the process. It's just the whole thing leaves a bad. As many good things as there were, the whole thing leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it does. But you wish that Santi kept his feet, and when he went down, he opens that extra space on the shoulder, gives you that much more room, and it's just a little bit. That's all you need, is just a little bit of space, and that's what happened there in that final 30 seconds. And it's just we always talk about moments, we talk about lessons, and you're hoping that this is remembered as a lesson going forward. And so that's what you're staring at. Will feel like the entire fan base is like a mama bear over Caleb, and that's true.
Yeah.
Same for Machope. All of the academy, all the academy products, yes. Then when you add to that they are local academy products, I mean, like hometown, where like you can go and get pizza at Caleb's dad's place, that kind of stuff, or go watch the DDYSC, that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's an extra little bit of, you're one of us, but then with Caleb and Machope, it's like, yeah, you're one of us. It's like there's that different level of stuff too. That's attached to being a mama bear. Parzival, and this was the other thing that was part of it too, inconsistent calls when it comes to like-for-like fouls in both directions.
I wasn't as upset with the whistle, I guess, as other people were. I mean, the fouls were slanted. I get it, but I don't remember anything blatant about the officiating being bad. I wasn't really bothered by it one way or another. I mean,
11.
Maybe I'm forgetting things. It's totally possible.
11-4 fouls. United for Toronto.
Hey, Atlanta does bring physicality to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And even without Ibarra in there, Atlanta will be physical with you. Not in the same vein of Philadelphia or anything like that, but Atlanta's more than capable of being a physical pain in the ass to deal with. So,
all right, yeah. Since you brought it Philadelphia, I'm going to go ahead.
Sorry, Rich.
Well, sorry, Rich. Yeah, true. But I know that we're drifting in and out, and I'm kind of looking at the timeline. And Mondays, as always, is a bit of a stream of consciousness anyway.
Sure.
All right. First off, Chicago. Y'all.
Chicago's pretty good for a while.
Why couldn't y'all hold a lead?
Because Chicago is, personal opinion, Chicago is the team embodiment of what of what Eric Remedi was at the end of his tenure in Atlanta.
Yeah.
When things are going well, it's like watching someone play Guitar Hero. Things are going well, things are grooving, doing fine.
Yeah.
You screw up that rhythm, something weird happens that screws up that rhythm, and it can be really hard to get that rhythm back. Yeah. Eric Remedi in 2020 kind of felt like this when he was playing a lot, and he was being asked to do a lot, and it felt like at times he was almost in his own head. And it's like I said, the Guitar Hero analogy is the one I've leaned on for a while for this, because it's like when he's going well, it's going great, but when it stops going well, it's like it's just so hard to re-find that rhythm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Chicago plays right now. Like when they're grooving, they're fine. they committed a stupid penalty because they didn't clear the ball. They tried to play out the back, and nothing wrong with trying to play out the back. They did it poorly and did it against the Philadelphia counter pressure in that instance. Committed a really stupid penalty, and then kind of got rattled, gave up another goal, and then it was back and forth the rest of the way. You screwed up. You tried to play Sweet Child of Mine on hard, and you weren't ready for it.
Yeah. And thank you, Ismail Elfath, from the rest of us. Once again, sorry, Rich. And Rich, like I said, back on Thursday and Friday. Back on Thursday and Friday, Rich. I will always preface my comments about Philadelphia Union this way. You have a style of play. I get it. It's what has made you successful. Mazel tov. I don't like your style of play. I don't like how your players who are, you find the line, and then you have other players finding the line over time. I mean, that's fantastic. You're reading the match. You're reading center ref. I get it. That's your shtick. I don't like your shtick, but you've been successful with it. So therefore, there is something there. I get it. Ismail Elfath, on behalf of the rest of Major League Soccer and specifically Atlanta United fans, thank you for carding Jim Curtin for his shenanigans on the touchline.
He was of course they carded him. I mean, I didn't expect them not to card him. I'm not even in a position to thank him for it personally, because it's Jim Curtin doing Jim Curtin stuff. Jim Curtin's going to do Jim Curtin stuff, and in that instance, the Jim Curtin stuff was to pick up a ball, to kind of not. I think he picked up the ball, played keep away from the Chicago player. Yeah. It wastes a bit of time. It gets under the other team's skin if you can kind of get them even. And we just talked about a Chicago team that when they get off of rhythm is not very good. You kind of catch them off their rhythm, and that might be a way to do it even more so. Jim Curtin's going to do Jim Curtin things. It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, someone's going to do something stupid, which Jim Curtin will happily take. Because if someone does something really stupid in one of these situations, Jim Curtin will be fine with it, because it would probably mean somebody gets knocked out and kicked out of the game. But yeah, he's just always going to do the kind of the Jim Curtin thing. So my thing is right now for Philly is, look, what they did in Mexico during the midweek was much more thorough than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they would struggle in that game. And I think they did at times, but they managed to get it across the line and got 3 points and moved on to the, CONCACAF Champions League semifinals.
Yeah.
And now they get LAFC, which should be a lot of fun. And look, we talked about this with Dylan, and we can talk about it, I guess. I don't know if we'll talk about it this week or not, just because we only had one game of a sample size to add to this. But I expected Philly to struggle in this just because of what the amount of energy they had to expend in that game in Mexico. But Philly has really struggled. And they did what they usually do in this instance yesterday, Saturday, which is they're dead in the water. They get something, they create their own luck, and then they kind of ride that momentum. So in this instance, they rode the momentum of the PK goal, get one immediately right afterward on a turnover, boom, 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 go vertical, get a goal.
Yeah.
It is absolutely Philadelphia as hell.
Uh-huh. No doubt.
But it is, and we've said this before about Atlanta last year, said this about Orlando in the past, say it about Toronto now. Having to rescue stuff is not a great way to live your life. It's an exhausting way to live your life, and it's not sustainable.
No.
It's great because you can kind of use it to try and power yourself going forward if you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you're always hoping for. Remember, even last year when Atlanta's rescuing stuff late, we were sitting there hoping, man, maybe this will be Maybe this will be the catalyst for them to really get it going. And they weren't ever really able to turn the engine over for an extended period of time.
Right.
And injuries played into that. Like I said, we've seen Orlando do this in the past where they would rescue stuff late when they were the cardiac cats.
Yes.
It's a tough way to make a living. I think Philadelphia, you would trust Philadelphia to figure it out. But right now, they're doing the thing that that I lamented about Atlanta in the past, especially in 21, honestly, which was don't put yourself in a position where you're having to figure out where you're having to figure out, okay, we need to win this many games to get above the line. You want to be worried about staying above the line, not having to get above the line. I think Philadelphia will be fine in the long run. But right now, they keep putting themselves in tough spots.
Yep. And so, obviously, keeping an eye on that one. And like I said, you mentioned an off ramp, and so I took the off ramp with Philly. And I know a lot of folks that got stuff to talk about with Philly. Jason Nix personifying pretty much the thoughts of a lot of folks with Atlanta United. Stupid Larea goal.
Yeah, but it's a great goal.
Richie Larea, see, it's amazing what happens when Richie Larea is upright and not falling down.
Hey, man, Richie Larea can play. That's one of the frustrating things about him doing all of his dives and antics is Richie Larea, when he's on, is one of the best fullbacks on this continent. He's really damn good.
Yeah.
It's not like Richie Larea dives around and can't play. Richie Larea can play. It's just frustrating. And it's frustrating when he beats you because he has big villain energy. That's fine.
Yes. That is true. It is big villain energy. And Abby reminded of what happened last night. Penalty kick awarded, dangerous play, no yellow issue. So the iniquity of the cards. But I will say that that center ref last night, Anya Voigt, I give her a lot of credit, especially with all the wonkiness of the new rules in MLS Next Pro. I thought she navigated it pretty well last night, for the most part, from what we saw with her. So really good stuff. Let's see. Emilio talking about Yako and Machope. Yakimakis moves in interesting fashion, stop and go, very active. Like Chul, actually, I can see why he may stretch something. Yeah, they both do. They're very good at stretching things with their size and their ability. So, that's Machope. How did you characterize Machope in the past as a giraffe?
Well, he's built like a spider.
Yeah.
He has these spider-like long limbs. And part of it is because of his frame is so kind of wiry. But he also has just long arms and legs and is very, very, very good at being able to apply pressure. But also it has that thing where he's going to make it really difficult for you to get around him because he can stick a leg out and cover more ground than other people can. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I'm right there with you. And no, it's so when you have those different kinds of weapons that are available for you, then that, forces your opposition to have to prepare for multiple things. So it's not just, while yes, the approach is very Borg-like, having these different elements that are attached to it makes it difficult to either defend or try to figure out how to attack the Borg with all of its different elements. News on Manchester United coming up at the top of the hour. David, you are correct. They really can't say, when I was mentioning the characterization of the yellow card for Bernardeschi, and it said other reason or whatever it was. Let me see. What was it? Other reason. Yes, David is absolutely correct in saying that you can't really say yellow card for being an ish head. And that's true. You can't say that. Nick's reminding us about Gutman almost getting a deflection and a goal. Then there's
it's good to see him back on the field too, man, because he was banged up too, but he back.
Yeah. Burn about Almada, and this is also very true. It's more about preserving Almada's transfer value for the summer than the next few games. Yes, because you don't want damaged goods on the market.
No.
You know, when you go to the produce section and you see stuff got dinged from the last shipment that came in on the 18-wheeler, you're not going to necessarily go shopping at that store all the time. So it is definitely making sure that everything is as fresh and ready to hit the register as possible at the same time. Bern, to answer your question about Jackson Conway, very small sample size, and I was digging that up. He's been in 4 matches so far. He's only played 31 minutes. So, and he has one shot. The shot was not on target in the 31 minutes that he has played in the 4 matches for Phoenix Rising so far. So, very small sample size for Jacko in Phoenix right now. David, per MLS stats, Toronto's at the bottom of fouls committed, so they know how to get away with not getting called. Yeah, where Philadelphia is, they don't mind getting called. They just have different dudes figure out where that line is. They don't mind dudes getting 2 or 3 whistles each. Then it's just going to be somebody else getting 2 or 3 whistles, and somebody else getting 2 or 3 whistles. So they know how to work their way around it. And Kefsi, when discussing Chicago, Kai Kamara can score. Yes, it is absolutely true. He can. And, it might be tough for him to get to Landon Donovan's record, but he still can prove that he can get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And we talked about this last week. It's going to be tough for him if for no other reason. He just doesn't seem to last places.
No.
For those of you watching Ted Lasso, he's got Zava qualities to him.
Yeah, he does. Although I don't know if Kai is attached to his avocado farms. I don't know if he will just disappear and go.
I hope he has an avocado farm.
Yeah, just for the sake of having it. Like I said, I don't know if Kai Kamara has avocado farms in his future or in his present, but same kind of energy. Ricky Ricardo on Jim Curtin. Not the 90s anymore. He's not a player. If he was, he'd be getting 2-footed all over the place. Not wrong. But, yeah, I mean, this is the first time that I can see from Ismail Elfath that Jim Curtin was actually spotted for doing his childish acts on the sideline.
And that's the thing, man. It's like, I feel like he probably has been carded for this before, and Jim Curtin's fine taking the card for it. I don't think he's losing sleep over it. You know what I mean?
No, doesn't care. Care.
He doesn't. Dude, he doesn't care. He's not losing sleep.
Yeah, doesn't care. Does not care. Parzival at the end of the match. And this is something I didn't necessarily see, but I'll have to now pay attention to it a little more. Parzival says, "Can we talk about how when the refs are in Atlanta and the game ends, they shake hands quickly and leave? Appeared as though they were talking with Bradley longer than they've ever talked with us." Parzival, I think that was because
that's situational.
Yeah, that was in this particular case. Parzival, Bob Bradley, and Jonathan Osorio specifically were none too happy with the whistle being blown when the whistle was blown. They wanted more time on the clock. And let me double check. Okay, it's not listed since it happened after the match, but I think that Jonathan Osorio got a yellow because he poked his nose into.
He was fired up, man.
So yeah, Jonathan Osorio, I think, got a yellow out of the deal. A lot of us thought initially that it might have been Bob Bradley for getting in with the officials, but I think it was Jonathan Osorio who was slightly more than fired up and got a card for his level of energy and anxiety after the match for Toronto FC wanting more minutes.
I mean, they wanted more time on the clock, and look, if you're them, I think you would want it too, because they had scored. There were about 30, 45 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
When they scored that goal, they wanted more time on the clock.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it. They were disappointed.
Yeah.
And at that point, I mean, they're not going to wave everybody back on the field and say, you know what? Nope, come on back, guys. We're going to do this again.
Yeah, it's not an officials review where you go to the booth and they go,
yeah,
oh, yeah, we're going to put 1 second back on the clock.
It's not like college football, the greatest thing ever, where, like, I think it was BYU a couple of years ago, where, like, there was a field goal that was missed, The fans stormed the field, and they had to get the fans off the field again because there was a penalty, and they had to replay the down. And then it missed again, and the fans got to restorm the field. It's not like that.
See, but then do you get fined twice, or do you just get fined once? That's my
Pretty sure you just get fined once at that point.
Emilio, you are not in the minority opinion, basically, where he's saying, screw Philly. There are a bunch of, or Ricky says it might have been the University of Utah for your college football reference.
Oh, yeah. And to Emilio's other point, because he
Holy War, yeah.
To mention this, or he mentioned this earlier and asked about, when did it kind of shift on Miguel Berry?
Yeah.
I would say that one of the things about Berry is that he put up those numbers in Columbus.
Right.
Didn't put up those numbers in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And you're waiting to see if you can put them up here. So you're trying to figure out which version of him is the consistent version that exists in MLS. Is it the guy who, in a short sample size, put up big numbers in Columbus as a super sub, or was that the flash in the pan, or was that the consistency?
Yeah.
And he hasn't put up any goals this year, so you're waiting to see if he can do that. And he might get some chances here if Giacomakis misses time.
Yeah.
Or do you go with Machopchol?
Yeah, and it might end up being probably some combination of Berry and Machop in the middle, and trying to figure out, okay, who gives me 60, who gives me 30? Who's it going to be? It might be Berry because of his experience in the league, and then having Machop come in like he did against Toronto and running his off until the match is over. So we'll keep an eye on that. A lot of folks, Kevsey wishing Etienne had caught the corner, nearly got one himself. You're looking at, and to Nick's point, Nick says that Gonzalo Pineda is somewhat damned if he does and damned if he doesn't when it comes to protecting a lead, trying to, are we going to waste time and do stuff in the corner? Or are we going to continue to do things the way that we have? But no, there's a time on the clock, and that comes to player judgment as to, okay, I'm going to dribble into the corner and try to waste some minutes here. And so that's literally, it's just what it comes down to in these situations. So, Will also spiritually identifies as a baby giraffe. So he can relate to Machop. Byrne thinks that going to the 3 in the back messed up the organization too much. Too many new players on the field at that point to change systems. Should have just put Abram in as an extra defensive mid and not at a center back. So that's what Byrne was looking at, especially late in the match. Ricky Ricardo with the public service announcement. Players arrived in Arizona yesterday for the quick camp, and Ricky has posted video if you want to go see Caleb after the show. Will on Chope. Imagine if Machop had another 30 or 40 pounds extra, all fat and no coordination. That's him. Okay, so that's your giraffe. That's your giraffe comparison with Will and being a baby giraffe. No, Emilio. Well, I think Emilio says that Jim Curtin has no respect for the game.
I think Jim Curtin's just a heel, man.
Yeah, and that's
Jim Curtin is what Jim Curtin is. Jim Curtin's a heel.
Yeah, and I think that's it more than anything. I think that
I also think he's very cocky.
Yeah, he's quite an.
He kind of has reason to be the last little bit, man.
And I think that when you look at everything that Jim Curtin has done as head coach of Philadelphia and everything they've accomplished, sure, you all you got to do is go scoreboard, or standings or whatever, transaction page, website page, whatever. But I think he has found a role and his place in it. And so I think that he is embracing and understanding the role that he has created for himself and therefore for Philadelphia, and doesn't care what you or I or anybody else think. And like I said, success has been there. That is not in dispute. So, I mean, success has been there for Jim Curtin, and I get it. Like I said, I get it. I get where you're coming from. Not my bag. not my bag at all. And I'm sure I'm in a majority opinion when it comes to it. I'm sure that it's like Chester, PA, in that one pocket, and then there's the rest of us. But once again, hate us because you ain't us, and all those that you ain't us, and all those kinds of things. And no, I completely get it where Jim Curtin is concerned. Field storming when Texas Tech beat Texas in 2008. Was that the Michael Crabtree game where they stormed the field?
Yes, that would have been the Crabtree game where they threw the little out route into the corner, and the corner for Texas could not hold up Michael Crabtree, and he got away and snuck inside the pylon.
Yeah. Yes, and did it late in the game, and did it in front of the College Game Day crew.
Late, nothing. It was like literally 1 second left or half a second left.
And then it happened like right in front of Chris Fowler and Lee Corso, and you see their reaction as Crabtree is going past as time is running out.
Yep.
One of the best pieces of video from the end zone, period. Burn. I think the eye test tells you Miguel Berry will not be an above-average goal scorer in MLS, which is fine. He's a backup.
Yeah. He might be I mean, that's kind of where he might be, man. He might just be that guy.
Yeah.
Where he is a backup guy, and maybe he is that kind of guy who goes on stretches where he just blacks out and scores like 5 goals in 4 games, and you're wondering where the hell that came from.
Right.
But I mean, I wouldn't count on it consistently.
Right. Morning, Tom. Good to have you in. Tom is disappointed about Eric Etienne so far. Needs to start seeing more from him soon. I would maintain that once again, I think Derek Etienne is still trying to get to 100%. And so if you can get him for 60 and then have substitutions come in, I still think that you're still trying to get Derek Etienne to full song. And I'm still in that camp and trying to figure out how he integrates. So that's what when I see Derek Etienne Jr., love what I've seen in the short segments, but I still think that he is trying to get to full song more than anything else. And when you've got and also when you've got Caleb Wiley, as hot as his start was in up at left wing at the beginning of the year, then once again you're not going to be seeing Derek Etienne Jr. because you've got a hot hand in Caleb Wiley, and you're not going to want to disturb that mojo coming out of the blocks,
Yeah, and I think he's closer to that. I think he is closer to 100%, if not there.
Yeah.
Some of might just be finding rhythm.
Yeah.
And he came close the other night, and you want to see him just start burying those chances.
Yeah.
I think he will get more and more chances to bury said chances. It just hasn't been happening right now, and you need it to, because it'd be nice to have somebody consistently get the job done on that to have another body on that left wing, because we saw it from Caleb Wiley when he was playing there, and now you have a decision to make, because if Andrew Gutman is going to come back and is at or close to 90 minutes ready to go after that injury, then do you put Caleb Wiley back up in that left attacking spot? Because he was putting up numbers when he was there. How do you balance those minutes with Etienne and with Wiley? Look, Machok Chol is making a case, not even this game with the goal, the last few games when he's been getting in. Mm-hmm. He's been tricky.
Yeah.
He works his tail off. He's been crafty at times. He's kind of demanding more time as well.
How much time do we have you for this morning?
Not much more, honestly.
Okay, so what's your final thought before you go?
I would say it's look. I mean, it is a draw that feels like a loss.
Yeah.
In what happened with Atlanta, because you had 3 points there, and you weren't able to get it done in the second straight game where you let it get away. I'm more forgiving of the last one because it's a really damn good goal from distance, which is not the same kind of thing as you defensively aren't able to keep them out when they're pushing in. You were down a man in that instance. Both of them are disappointing, though, because that's 4 points you've let slip out of your fingers, and you could be looking at sitting on top of the East right now. they'll need to figure out how to close these games out, and we've seen them do it in the past. During Gonzalo Pinilla's tenure, we've seen them close games out. They're going to have to tighten down and close them out, and how you deal with injuries will be interesting as well going forward.
Yeah,
because man, Yakimakis has been outstanding.
Yeah,
is it going to be Miguel Berry? Is it going to be Machop Chol, like at the 9? I want to see how they deal with it. But yeah, it's a disappointing weekend because you had it there. It was there for you.
Yeah, it was. So. And a lot of so we got that to talk about for the rest of this morning. Yeah, with Ricky says with the 4 points, I think we'd be leading Shield.
Mm-hmm.
And Abby going to assume that Gigi's out for this match. You don't mess with a hammy.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming he's out at least this match.
Yeah. So I mean, you're
a little bit more this week.
Yeah, and so as things continue to evolve, we'll keep an eye on it. But you don't want to push. You obviously don't want to push Gigi. You don't want to push Almada for various reasons that we've been talking about here in hour number 1. So welcome back from vacation, and welcome back to the show. We're going to see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Mitch Northam coming on 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to promote a book. So now that Mitch has now written 2 books, I've got to write another one. Mitch Northam has a book out on, it's the 5th anniversary of the season for Atlanta United, winning the MLS Cup. And so Mitch has a book out that you can pick up on Amazon. And it is a compilation of his works from his time at Pro Soccer USA. And we will catch up with Primetime Mitch, and we will catch up with him about his recollections of that season and what he's thinking about, what else is going on, and the other books that he's written. Like I said, he's now written 2. So now that means I've got a plot and plan, at least my next 2. I mean, I think like 3 or 4 planned, but we'll see. And Emilio says it balances out the San Jose win. Always a question of balance, and we'll roll for that. Tom, nothing wrong with coming in late. What was the deal with Almada? Did you just feel something sometime between landing and heading to the stadium or what? Don't know. But what we talked about in hour number 1, and you know this from your time covering sports, is that you want, no matter what the level of injury is, you want, and Abby's part and parcel of that. Abby's got it square. Think he wasn't going to play, but to trick the opponent, it was good to have him travel. Yeah, you want to have Toronto prepare for everything, because if you don't travel with one of your stars, they'll sit there and go, oh, we don't have to prepare for Thiago Almada. No, you want him in the videos. You want him walking as normally as possible. You want him, ready to get game face and all those other things for social media. You want him walking loud and proud, getting onto the plane, getting off the plane, and getting ready for things. Now, you want Toronto to prepare for Yakimakis. You want Toronto to prepare for Almada. You want them to prepare for everybody. And so, even if getting on the plane, he wasn't going to go, you want him to get on the plane so Toronto has something to think about. Nick's, we'll ask him tomorrow. Remember to put that question to the fore. Does it hurt him that he was a purple team guy that wrote a book about Atlanta's MLS Cup? No, you can ask him. He'll be on tomorrow. Nick's, that's why Gonzo looks side-eye with who's starting this week questions. You want a team to wonder who is starting. Yeah. So there you go. So that's where we are. Start of hour number 2. So that means one thing. Time to cut a promo. And we got to developing story officially now, since it's more than an hour old, out of England that we'll get into this morning. Once again, lay out your thoughts for Atlanta United. We'll talk about Atlanta United 2. We'll talk about all the other stuff that's on in Major League Soccer. We'll talk about the world. We'll talk about a lot of other things. Whatever's on your mind this morning. And I did not see, well, of course, Abby, since Jason and I are in a booth, we didn't get the chance to see that Gonzalo and Garth were both at the Twos match last night. They're probably keeping an eye on Eric Lopez. So it is time now that we are in hour number 2 for me to take everything out of loop, put everything down around 14, and hit rock and read a promo. All right. Odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Lemonize service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. The Lemonize service deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. The Lemonize service has created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. If I can get my plate to work on a Monday. Lemonize offers a turnkey process, makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment we like that these ways. They offer a very green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or the other masking agents that you may have either under the sink or above you in the cupboard, because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard for said masking agent and you pull the masking agent out into the air and you spray the contents of that container into the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent, because all it does is mask the odors. It doesn't attack the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at a Lemonize service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing one of two ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. One place you need to go if you have any other questions is their website. And this is where I get out my pen. Website's lemonize.com. But after the .com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can attack your problems and take care of it for you. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. The Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH on a Monday and on all the other days of the week, too. All right, so there's that. And also, if you missed it on the Facebook page, leading into the Charlotte match, Charlotte weekend, we are going to be up at the Reverb Hotel for Hard Rock on that Friday night. That's going to be a fun show where we're going to be live talking to folks, talking about Atlanta and Charlotte. So keep an eye on that one as well. Programming note today, a little before 5 o'clock, high school playoffs continue. And that will be here on the network. It will be Atlanta Classical and Lincoln County on the girls' side. That will be from Silverbacks Park. That'll be at a little before 5 o'clock. Kickoff at 5. And the winner advances into the Final 8 in Class A Division II, if memory serves. So great season for Lincoln County on both the boys and the girls' side. For those of you that may not know, Lincoln County is about 2.5 hours east of Atlanta. Basically, if you're heading toward Augusta and you end up at the Thompson exit and then you go north about 20, 30 minutes, you end up in the town of Lincolnton. That's in Lincoln County. Will Homskis, the head coach there, his dad Lee is the head football coach. Great football tradition there with head coach Larry Campbell, winningest coach in the state of Georgia history. But for the soccer program, it's been great because it's the first time that both teams have made it to the postseason. First time that you have had home matches. I think on the boys' side and the girls' side, I think you had home matches. And what you've also got is the first time there are 30 players on the girls' roster. First time that they were able to have a full JV schedule for Lincoln County girls soccer. So Lincoln County girls, Atlanta Classical, 5 o'clock on the network. So set your notifications. That'll be live. I'll have the call from Silverbacks Park. Jason will be at Midtown tomorrow for a playoff game there. And we are efforting matches on Thursday. So we'll let you know. So high school playoffs here on the SDH network. Today, 5 o'clock on the network. Tomorrow night on the network. Thursday, probably on the network. But once again, we'll keep you posted on that. And also, once again, next month, in a little less than a month's time, we'll be up at Reverb Hard Rock Reverb Hotel near Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and we will be doing our big Charlotte preview there. So a lot of busy stuff there. Cool. And thanks to all of you guys. It was great to see everybody at the Twos match, and thank you for shouting us out in the crowd. Abby, once again, thank you for the scarf. It will be hung off to my right, your left, as you're watching on the cameras. So very, very cool stuff there. Getting into hour number 2 once again. Interesting broadcast note from the Airborne DJ. Watching a little XFL, doing your taxes. compelling the way they have everybody mic'd up. Yeah, and this is one of the things that I've always enjoyed about the XFL, especially replay officials. You talk to Dean Blandino, who gets to stand up for a lot of broadcasts. I hope he gets to sit down at some point. Plays, coaches, officials, replay official come through on the broadcast. Yeah, it's all very, very cool. So this was Brad's. Okay, so I need details on this because I didn't know if this was a handout. I didn't know if this was a team handout or what this was. So let me show this again here to start hour number 2. This is Abby comes charging into the press box while we're doing the open into the studio space, and she hands us these 2 envelopes. First off, it's good to see you. The fact that you crashed into the studio. So here we go. Let me go here. All right. So it's a summer scarf, very, very thin. So here we go. All right, new league. And I'm going to just, for those watching on Twitch, it's 2 spikes. It's shiny red and black. And once again, same goal. There we go. So there's that. All bottom, didn't charge in. You were very stealthy, Abby. You were. No, that is without question. And so then on the flip side, it is your twos logo with the 2 spikes. And once again, 2 spikes, 5 stripes, 1 city once again. And there is your 2. So that is the Brad designed scarf. And once again, thank you to Abby for coming in and crashing the broadcast suite last night and giving me and Jason those. Very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff there that Abby brought it in. And it's going to be hanging right over there in short order. Oh, I forgot to mention new ones. Don't know if you guys know about this group trying to bring the NWSL to Q2. And Golden Ticket member John Schuster actually sent one of his Duluth wraparound scarves, Duluth FC, coming up in short order. So once again, very, very cool stuff. Being added, shower rods. That is the secret to having all of these scarves here in Office HD. The developing story, I guess, well, I mean, I could go ahead and do it, and I probably will. It's from Mark Ogden over at ESPN FC. Since we are in a branding kind of a way, here we go. Before the show this morning, Mark Ogden over at ESPN UK, and let me know if you're shocked by this. Joel and Avram Glazer are increasingly confident of securing the outside investment that will enable them to remain as Manchester United owners and potentially double the value of the club over the next decade, a source has told ESPN. So there you go. Paragraph. Glazer family, who have owned United since 2005, announced last November they were considering, quote, all strategic alternatives, including new investment into the club, a sale, or other transactions, end quote, in order to generate the funds required to transform the team training ground and Old Trafford, which has been overlooked as a potential venue for the joint UK-Ireland bid to host Euro 2028, despite being the biggest club ground in Britain. While Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani is fronting a Qatari bid to buy United in the face of competition from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Britain's richest man, a number of U.S.-based investment funds have contacted Rain Group, the New York bank overseeing the process, to register their interest in acquiring a minority stake in the club. Elliott Investment Management, Ares Management Corp., Sixth Street Partners, and the Carlyle Group are all attempting to secure a stake in United, having lodged their interest with Rain Group ahead of the April 28th deadline for third bids, while United supporters, who have been opposed to the Glazers since their leveraged takeover 18 years ago, that's a lot of opposition. They've made it clear through fans groups that they want the Glazers to sell all of their shares in the club and clear the way for new owners. A source familiar with the situation has told ESPN that brothers Joel and Avram, United's co-chairman, favor new investment that will enable them to remain in charge at Old Trafford, with siblings and fellow directors Kevin, Brian, and Edward Glazer and Darcy Glazer-Kasowitz offloading their stakes in the club. So if I'm reading this correctly, the big brothers, Joel and Avram, want everybody else in the family to dump their shares and sell off to the minority shareholder, and they want to keep theirs. The story continues. ESPN reported in February potential buyers for United were skeptical of the Glazers' desire to sell completely and that Joel and Avram were keen to hold on to the club. Despite confirmed bids from Sheikh Jassim and Ratcliffe via his Ineos group, the source told ESPN that Joel and Avram Glazer believe the potential for organic growth over the years ahead could make United worth at least £10 billion or $12.4 billion, with areas of growth anticipated in terms of broadcast revenue. I think that's 8 years away when it comes to 7 years probably with the new contract window opening. So that's what they're staring at, is that new window for negotiation in 7 years in the year 2030. Streaming opportunities and a possible restructuring of the club game, Super League. There is a view within the United hierarchy that the club can become much more valuable with the required investment on and off the pitch. Ricky Ricardo, keep us posted. Good luck. And with at least 4 hugely wealthy investment funds prepared to acquire a stake that would see them become minority shareholders, Joel and Avram Glazer have the opportunity to remain as owners. So there is that, especially coming off the heels of their 2-0 win over Nottingham Forest yesterday. No real surprise, probably, especially after, and keep an eye on Nottingham Forest, because we know how freaked out they are right now, and especially how Evangelinas Marinakis is when it comes to his club, where they finally do have more points than transfers this year. Signing Steve Cooper to the extension, now they're freaking out. How long does Steve Cooper have? They have one of the toughest run-ins, by the way. I think they have the 4th or 5th toughest run-in in the league. Southampton has, I believe, the 4th toughest run-in. Bournemouth, by the way, has the weakest run-in in the Premier League right now. Average position of teams that they're playing, I think, was 16.3. So keep an eye on Nottingham Forest in the beginning of the early week freakout. Also, we've got Mikel Arteta, because remember, yesterday they surrendered another round of points that they should have had, could have had, probably maybe needed to hang on to. By the time they play Manchester City in a week and a half, they should have a 7-point lead. But once again, remember, that's because of matches in hand. Should have a 7-point lead. But with recent form, and Manchester City being Manchester City right now, they are rolling. So Arsenal up 4. They will play one more match by the time these two teams meet. 2 matches in hand, 7-point difference. Arsenal a 2-2 draw with West Ham. That probably went a long way, at least currently, to lowering the people's eyebrow on David Moyes, at least for this season. Arteta has rejected suggestions that Arsenal buckled under the pressure of the title race after allowing a 2-goal lead into a 2-2 draw. Said they must quickly develop a ruthless streak. Went up 2-0 after just 10 minutes. Goals from Gabriel Jesus and Martin Odegaard. Failed to build on that. Benrahma converts a penalty. Bukayo Saka misses a spot kick 7 minutes into the second period. But then 2 minutes later, Jared Bowen to Aaron Ramsdale. And there you go. Crucially, having played a game more and having to go to the Etihad in 10 days. Comes a week after losing a 2-goal lead to a draw with Liverpool. Post-match, Arteta said yes. I would say yes if I see a team from the beginning playing. When I see a team playing with that flow, no. And at 2-0, it is not the pressure. It is that we really misunderstood what the game required in that moment. We started extremely well again, dominated the game, dominated the pitch, and scored 2 beautiful goals. After that, we made a huge mistake. To stop playing with the same purpose, to score the 3rd and 4th, and just think that we can play around them and maintain the result. It looked too easy, and in that moment, we gave them hope, and credit to West Ham. They took it. They went extremely direct from a long throw to a corner. We really struggled to get out of that game. If you don't defend your box the way you should, then you have to do many things better for longer periods. Then there's a moment when you can go 3-1 up, and probably the game is over. But this is part of football. My worry is after 2-0, we had a huge mistake, didn't understand what the game required in that moment. We need that ruthless mindset to go in that moment and kill a team. When a team is there for the taking, you have to kill it. Today, we haven't done it. And when you don't do that in the Premier League at some stage, it's going to turn around and they're going to have some momentum. Then you have to defend, for example, the second goal better than we did. Otherwise, you don't win the game. Martin Odegaard was also asked about it. So you got that. And like I said, whatever's on your mind here in hour number 2, we got stuff to talk about. And whether it's twos, it's MLS, it's Atlanta United, it's whatever's on the table. And I'll go back in the comments. If I missed something, go ahead and repost it in the Twitch pitch, and we'll go back through so I don't have to scroll all the way back to the beginning. And I know you want me to scroll back to the beginning. We're on the air till 11:30 because then I won't be able to find it. But yeah, burned Old Trafford. England won't get the World Cup after the mess at Wembley during the men's Euros. Absolutely right. Tom. All right. So you've got Southampton and Forest going down. We probably should do this on a weekly basis every Monday. Southampton and Forest are going down. The third will be between Everton, Leicester, and Leeds. Nix thinks it's going to be his Foxes. No faith in them right now. Burned says that Leeds looks the worst of that group. They are terrible. They're terrible. So, I mean, it's going to be a big blend as we chase to the end of this. And it's going to be a fun sprint for those of us that may not necessarily have the biggest vested interest of it all. Speaking of which, we mentioned Chelsea and how much is going on there. This is something that I did not know. From Matt Law over at the Telegraph. Todd Bowley, and once again, you can take this for whatever it's worth. Todd Bowley delivered a pre-Real Madrid pep talk to Chelsea's players in the Stamford Bridge dressing room after the latest demoralizing defeat by Brighton on Saturday, in which he labeled the club's plight as embarrassing. If you're an owner and you go into your team's dressing room, and apparently folks that sit over the owner's box at Stamford Bridge were letting Bowley have it this weekend, and Bowley actually was turning around, looking up, and trying to talk to the fans over his head at the same time. But according to Matt Law at the Telegraph, and if this was your owner, what would you think? And this is an owner that hasn't even been an owner for a year. Todd Bowley delivered a pre-Real Madrid pep talk to Chelsea's players in the Stamford Bridge dressing room after the latest demoralizing defeat by Brighton on Saturday, in which he labeled the club's plight embarrassing. If you're the owner, if you're a player, if you're a player and your owner comes in and starts talking about this stuff to you, what's going through your mind? Bowley, Vedat Iqbali, and Hans-Jörg Weiss are understood to have all entered the home dressing room in the aftermath of the loss to Brighton, after interim head coach Frank Lampard had told the players his thoughts. Bowley addressed the squad and is understood to have described the current situation in terms of results and Chelsea being in the bottom half of the Premier League table as embarrassing. Chelsea's owners made sure Lampard had finished delivering his verdict before making their own presence felt in the dressing room, but Bowley is said to have left the players in no doubt that he, Iqbali, and Weiss spent £600 million in the transfer market to win, and they have been falling short of expectations. He also tried to strike a positive note. This sounds like the compliment sandwich. He tried to strike a positive note, reiterating the fact that Tuesday night's game against Real represents a chance to keep the season alive in the embarrassment and give Chelsea's fans something to be proud about. Doesn't sound like that's a positive note. It's kind of like a backhanded compliment. While Bowley's pep talk may raise further questions, once again, Matt Law from The Telegraph. While Bowley's pep talk may raise further questions over the scale of their involvement, the owner's decision to enter the dressing room also represents an acknowledgement of their own responsibility in what has turned into a hugely challenging first season after buying the club from Roman Abramovich. Acknowledgement of their own responsibilities? They went in and yelled at the players. Chelsea 2 goals down from Real Madrid in the first leg, ahead of which Bowley boldly predicted the team were going to win 3-0. That didn't go well. Bowley now needs his prediction in Madrid to come true at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea to miraculously progress and stop his first season as co-owner ending in disappointment in Europe as well as domestically. Came under fire from supporters sitting above him at Stamford Bridge on Saturday, faced criticism from pundits after he and Igbali sacked 2 head coaches inside 12 months, spent a fortune in their first 2 transfer windows. Bowley appeared to be remonstrating with disgruntled fans at the Brighton match, although they will no doubt agree with his assessment that Chelsea's run of form and position at the bottom half of the table is embarrassing. Bowley was also filmed by supporters describing the draw with Everton as an effing game last month, which proved to be Potter's penultimate match in charge. Meanwhile, Real Madrid are reportedly upset by the fact that Italian referee Daniele Orsato will be in charge of the second leg of their Champions League quarterfinal tie at Chelsea. He was in charge when Real were defeated 2-1 by City in the last 16 first leg stage in 2020. Club players complained about his performance after that match, just as Luka Modric did following Croatia's elimination by Argentina in the semis of the World Cup. But Orsato also took charge of Real's come-from-behind victory over Manchester City in the semis of the Champions League last season, awarding him a penalty in extra time. Overall, he's officiated 7 of the Spanish club's fixtures, Real winning 3, losing 4, 17 yellow cards to Los Blancos players in that time, and 1 red. So, Todd Bowley and his owners, they're going after it. Other Premier League stuff, Newcastle playing 4 elite summer signings. You got that. Let's see. Also on the board, picture suggesting. There's a picture. Nick Sapanik at the Telegraph has the picture where fans are over Todd Bowley and they're yelling and Bowley's looking up at him. Maybe you need to invest in a bit of a roof or a canopy for the owner's box. Just saying. You're looking at that. And then there's also the stuff about Oliver Brown reporting last week. Remember that Bowley sought the advice of James Corden. No proof one way or the other, mind you, but no proof one way or the other that James Corden did in fact help, but we don't know. And so also that has come out in The Guardian about the post-game speech. Also on the board, I'm trying to look for that thing where I saw the run-in of everybody, and I think it was in The Guardian, but don't quote me yet. Low-risk plan to a summer West Ham exit. Let's see if I can figure out where it is. I'll find it by the end of the show. But yeah, it was Bournemouth had the easiest run-in of everyone in the Premier League. So we got to keep an eye on that. Let me see. I know this makes for incredible. Have a marvelous Monday, Abby. Thank you once again for the scarf and for the chocolate matzo crack, because we're all fans of that kind of stuff. So like I said, once again, I'll probably end up finding it when we're off the air or something like that. You have a lot of other talking points that have worked their way through. And we will get into all of that. Last night on the network, before we get into last night on the network, I know that Tom had a couple of things. Everton, not in any form either. No striker. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you're tired of that. And but yeah, Tom's tired of Dominic Calvert-Lewin not being of any help. Last night on the network, Atlanta United 2, big win over Orlando City B. Going into the match, You had Orlando City be the top of the table in the division. They were 3 for 3, and in all three matches, they had scored in their first 5 minutes in each one. Different score. Yeah, and we'll get into that too, Nix. Actually, you'll have to kind of break that down for me because, and apparently Netflix went down too. I was fine on browser, but apparently on TV, MLS on Apple went sideways. Maybe that was why I couldn't log in, because it was asking me to enroll, and it's like, we've already enrolled in this house. But no, on browser, I was fine. I was watching it right here in Office HD, and it was locked in right here, and I was watching the whole thing. Yeah, apps were all down. Last night on the network, it was a big win for Atlanta United too. Obviously, if you looked at the photo after from the twos, it was Johnny Vial had his foot in a walking boot, looks like from maybe from contact. That they're going to be looking at Johnny Vial this week, getting ready for Chicago Fire as they come to town next Sunday. And that'll be on the network as well. So last night, Atlanta United gets a goal on the board from Eric Lopez from the spot, and that made it 1-0, but that did not stop Atlanta United. Johnny Vial's substitute, Nick Firmino, he had a big night, and for Nick, here's what turned a 1-0 lead into 2, courtesy of the SDH Network and Atlanta United 2 and MLS Next Pro.
Tuamasi clears it up into the sky. Lopez goes Shaolin soccer to regain possession. Firmino spins, drives forward. Nicholas Firmino has an option on the left. Firmino might not need it. Goal! 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 Atlanta United 2. Nicholas Firmino. Might not be the prettiest, but Nicholas Firmino scrambles that one into the back of the net. Had Tyler Wolff on the left, said, nah, I got this. Dribbles through traffic, gets past Pereira, and Firmino makes it 2-0 Atlanta.
So that was 2. And it was Nicholas Firmino going through traffic, had help to his left. There were 3 OCB players in front of him, found a little bit of space, got the poke, and I think it was also a bit of a deflection. It goes in. That made it 2-0. And Firmino was not done because 2 turned into 3, and the same guy was responsible.
Firmino can't find the teammate. Fortune cleans it up. Orlando will take another throw. Ian Garrett is the other substitution, a 27-year-old from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Here comes Atlanta into the 18. Shot! Goal! 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 Atlanta United 2. Second of the night, Nicholas Firmino. (3-0) Atlanta. That was an Orlando throw that is quickly turned over, and Firmino from the top of the 18 beats Pereira. Second goal of the night for Nick Firmino, third of the year, third of the night for Atlanta.
And that was 3-0 at that point. Late penalty in 90 plus. And it was banged home by OCB. OCB breaks the shutout, but they do go home 3-1 losers to Atlanta United 2. Reminder once again, this month, 5 of the first 6 for the twos are up at the fraction. So go watch, go watch, go watch. You have 2 more matches before they start to hit the road more than they are here at home. And once again, that's because late in the year they are stuck with midweeks because of Kennesaw State football. So it is Chicago Fire FC2 on Sunday, I believe. Saturday. So it's Saturday for the twos and Chicago Fire 2. And the match on Sunday is with Chicago Fire. Then you have on the 30th, 6 o'clock start, a little early. Jarrett Smith will be with you for pre-half and post there with Atlanta United 2. He'll be running the show on the 30th with Philadelphia Union 2 coming to town. Union 2 down 1, come back to win 2-1 in MLS Next Pro. And so your standings, once again, after that win for Atlanta United 2 and how things look, you end up with obviously the hot start for Orlando City B has helped them out so far when it comes to how things are for the standings in the division. And looking at the division, I don't want to look at the conference. I want to look at the division. And so this is going to take it. Okay. So in the Central, OCB's on top with 9 points after 4 match days. Crew 2 with their win, they're at 8 points. Chicago Fire 2 had a lead and lost it. They're at 6 points in the division. FC Cincinnati 2's at 4 points, ahead of Atlanta United 2 on goal difference, ahead of Hunt City on goal difference. Inter Miami 2 is at 3 points, 4 matches, 1 win, 3 losses. They've already given up 9 goals this year. In the Northeast, Crown Legacy, that's the Charlotte FC club attached to them in MLS Next Pro, 10 points, first 4 matches. Christian Kalina got some playing time for Crown Legacy in the weekend. So they've scored 10 goals, had Kalina between the pipes this past weekend. They're at 10 points. Revs 2 at 9 points. NYCFC 2 at 6, ahead of Red Bulls on goal difference. Philadelphia Union 2 with 1 win and 3 points. Toronto FC 2, 3 matches, 3 losses. They've only scored twice. They've given up 8 goals, and they are last. That is the Eastern Conference. Western Conference, in the Frontier Division, it is Austin FC 2, Colorado Rapids 2. They're already in double digits in points. Loons 2, they're at 9 points ahead of North Texas on goal difference. Sporting Kansas City 2 is at 8 points. Houston Dynamo 2 is at 5. St. Louis City 2 is at 1 point in their first 4 matches. And then in the Pacific, Whitecaps doing a crazy one last night with Los Dos. 7-goal thriller. They are still on top with 8 points after their first loss of the year. San Jose 2 is at 6 points. Tacoma Defiance is at 5. Los Dos, their first win of the year. They now have 3 points ahead of Real Monarchs. Real Monarchs, by the way, just to give you a feel for Real Monarchs, they've given up 12 goals in their 4 matches this year. They've only scored 1 goal. They've got 1 win, and they're at 3 points in 5th. LAFC 2, 4 matches, 2 losses, 2 draws, 2 points. T2, the Timbers 2, 3 matches, all 3 losses. They've given up 8. But the weirdest stat so far, Real Monarchs have given up 12 goals. They've only scored 1. And they've got 1 win on the year, so they're 5th. So that's what it looks like in MLS Next Pro. And there you go there. Knicks. Purple team just got to be different. No, we're not FC. We're SC. Nope, not a 2s team. B. not a fan. Well, OCB, I mean, for me, it's like Organized Crime Bureau. Insert your own laugh track and joke there. Knicks with a question, Major League Soccer. Once again, open doors, whatever you guys want to talk about for the remaining 20 minutes. Knicks, and the St. Louis-Cincinnati beatdown, did we learn more about City, who City is, or is Cincinnati coming back down to earth? Good question. I think, no, City is not bad. And I think that there are just sometimes when you're on the road, and remember that match didn't kick off until, was it 10:49 because of all the nasty weather that was going through St. Louis. So the match was delayed 2 hours and 10 minutes, first and foremost. And so if you're on the road, you're in an unfamiliar place, you're playing St. Louis, you want to get home. And I think that it will be interesting to hear from the particulars and all of the people of influence in Cincinnati this week, Pat Noonan and some of the senior leadership on that team. And you wonder what the response will be. And, let me see if I can find what Pat Noonan said. If I could spell Noonan. All right, so Pat Noonan post. Okay, so from Pat Brennan over at the Cincinnati Enquirer. Man, they're having a sale. I don't care. Third minute, 2 late first half goals. Lewin and Hebert put the game out of reach before intermission. FC Cincinnati played without Lucho Acosta and no Brenner, so you didn't have two of your major pieces of firepower, which meant that you probably could pin your defense if you're St. Louis City on Brandon Vasquez. So first off, no Lucho Acosta, no Brenner. And so likely acknowledgement of the disappointment in the first half. Once again, this is Pat Brennan. Pat Noonan made 3 subs at halftime. So you came out of the blocks slow. You were down 3-0 at the break. 57th minute, Gioacchini was your son. That was your Celentano own goal that you guys brought up earlier in the show and made it 5-0. Sergio Santos in the 62nd. St. Louis won 5-1. FC Cincinnati remains on top in the East. Coming week will be more about sifting through the wreckage. Let's see. So Brennan mentions the own goal. All 3 FC Cincinnati forwards combined as Sergio Santos tapped the ball over the line for the Baji to make it 5-1. It was Celentano's own goal, 5-0. Let's see. This is his roll all the way through. You've got lineups and a tentative kick. You've got your delay. Yeah, the weather was nasty by all accounts. So Acosta, no Acosta, no Brenner, no Kubo. And Yuya Kubo had not played in a month. So you had all of that. You had the unpacking, which I don't want. So I don't want a preview. I don't want news. Cincinnati Soccer Talk, we're not sneaking up on teams. So, yeah, it looked like so it looked like the first half they came out and they were, the first 45, Cincinnati, no Brenner, no Yuya Kubo, and, you didn't have, and no Lucho Acosta. So you didn't have 2 pieces of firepower. You had a 2-hour, 10-minute delay, and St. Louis just came and pounced on you, and you just didn't look like you wanted to be there. So you got pounced on in a building that is right now very, very tough place to play. I think, and Nix, I think when we're talking about St. Louis, I think that they're in the middle of what we think. I don't think they're as good as that first 5. I don't think they're as bad as that next 3. And, I think that once again, it's like, you get that kid, you call it from the minors. Yeah, and Cincinnati fell apart in that first 45. And then it was just like, if I'm Pat Noonan, I got to come up with something and figure out if there's anything that I got to say here. Morning 4 card. We are talking about anything on the table. Right now we're talking about St. Louis City, SC, and FC Cincinnati. I don't think it's like the kid coming up from the minors. Kid coming up from the minors, you don't have a book on him, and you know that they're going to play somewhat Red Bullsian soccer, and it's how Bradley Cornell has tweaked it and adjusted to it, and then how do you adjust to that for seeing something for the first time? No, I don't think that St. Louis City is the best team in the league. That's probably BAM who went to bed. Right now, it's probably LAFC. Because once again, you get into what happened in Cascadia, and it will be interesting to catch up with Nico Moreno later on this week and find out what he thinks about what's going on in Los Angeles and with what's going on in Seattle. I mean, you look at what happened in Cascadia, Portland putting 4, and going into this match, Portland had only 5 points. They were below the playoff bar and then some. Portland was below the playoff bar, and they came out and they thumped Seattle. So what do we read from that? I don't think St. Louis City is the best team in the league. I think that it's probably LAFC right now by default. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Yeah, City doesn't mind scoring in general, and once again, they take that Red Bull press, and Cornell's version of it, short fields, and then when you have defenders passing to, they are no doubt. Last year, Four-Card, it was 2 out of every 7 that were won on the road. 28.6% effectiveness. And the only reason I know it's 2 out of 7 is because of batting averages growing up. Very, very hard in Major League Soccer. But 4-1, a thumper out west in Cascadia. We'll talk to, except at LAG. Well, in LAG and El Tráfico was chaos. It was chaos, and then it got crazy. And there's a couple of just ridiculous saves by McCarthy kept it from being 3-3. So, El Tráfico is it's bad of crazy. And once again, I failed in fantasy this week. I don't know what it is with me in fantasy this year. I am just awful. And if you haven't joined the Fantasy League, join the Fantasy League, by the way. Join the Fantasy League. Jason Wright with a WAGEN on Twitter. And Jason Wright, AGEN, Wright with a WAGEN on Twitter, and the Jason Wright Agency Facebook page. And join the Fantasy League where you could beat me because I'm awful. I'm hideous this year. I'm 20th out of 22 in the Pro Rel League. And we've got 56 folks that have joined the league so far. So if you haven't joined, join. Because you could probably beat me. I'm awful at this. I'm awful at this season. I can't explain it. But, so join the Fantasy League. But they are LAG, best team in the league that hasn't won a match yet. Good entertainment, doing your taxes. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. And Sporting. We got to get in. We will once again bring up Sporting to both Dylan and to Nico. But Sporting Kansas City, what is up with you? I just, you look at what Sporting isn't doing, and they put up yet another clunker, losing to San Jose 3-0. And you wonder, I mean, we started wondering late last year, going into the summer transfer window, but Peter Vermes last year, they brought in some folks. They still haven't recovered from Ilie, and Ilie going to LAFC. But right now, Sporting has 3 points. LAG has 3 points. They have drawn 3 of their first 7 if you're LAG, 3 of their first 8 if you're Sporting. Sporting has only scored 2 goals. Montreal has 3 points also, but they've won a match. They've given up 17. Charlotte's given up 16. They can't wait to get Kalina back. I can tell you that right now. But Sporting, 8 matches, 3 draws, 2 goals scored in 8 matches. Just makes you wonder. Yeah, Kevin Cho. That's bad news. They've only scored twice. 2 goals for, 11 against, -9 in goal difference. Yep. So Sporting is down bad. Down bad. That is a direct quote, Jason Nixon. I'm borrowing it from you. Sporting is down bad. Yes, LAG is better than Sporting. Yeah. That's some bad news. And so you've got that you're staring at this week. And you've got to look at Peter Vermes. You do. You wonder, with both Greg Vanney and with Peter Vermes, what the career dissipation timeline is. We know what Chris Klein's is in Los Angeles. It's like, if we don't make the playoffs, I'm leaving at the end of the year. LA Galaxy fans are like, why wait so long? And Greg Vanney, you wonder when Vanney is the one that is going to fall here because of what LAG has not been able to do. I know you can make you can add the injury to Chicharito where you've only had him for a match and a half of this whole season and all of that. So you didn't have him for the first 5.5 matches of your year. You've had him now he's combining with Ricky Puig, and you're starting to see some things. So, yeah. Woof. That's just bad. And it's pretty bad. Oh, the run-in. The run-in that I was telling you about in the Premier League. Our friends at Opta have done the math, and they are saying that Manchester City will win 88 points to 87 with a 60% probability. And cross-referencing 538 and Opta. Opta has City as favorites now, too. Margin is 54 to 46 to be number one. The teams that Opta have relegated: Forest on goal difference to Everton, Leicester, and Southampton. They have Southampton at a 54% chance of being relegated and finishing last. They have Forest at a, basically doing that 70% chance of being relegated, finishing 18, 19, or 20. And Leicester they have as a 50% chance of finishing 18, 19, or 20. Everton, by the way, they have finishing somewhere between 16 and 19, and all of those are in the teens when it comes to their percentages. So they are looking at Nottingham Forest on goal difference, behind Everton, Leicester City, and Southampton as being relegated. So that's Opta and what we're staring at from them. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and things left unsaid. Anything else on the table this morning? What to watch today? Oh, Julie Ertz. We didn't get to talk about Julie Ertz. Julie Ertz possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps looks like Angel City. And until they get a team in Phoenix, this makes a lot of sense. You figured it was going to be either the Wave or Angel City. And so it looks like Angel City. Some folks last night, Jeff Kassouf was saying it was a done deal. Meg Linehan in The Athletic was saying not so fast, my friend. And she had her Ticonderoga pencil out and was waving it in the air. So it looks like Julie Ertz is close to Angel City. Stuff to watch today. Leeds and Liverpool, interesting one at 3 o'clock, and that will be simulcast on Universo. Goal TV has the Ecuadorian Primera at 8 with Universidad Católica. It is Monday Night Football on Telemundo, Liga MX Femenil, Guadalajara and León. On the Plus, it is Celta Vigo, Mallorca, Levante Mirandes, both at 3. And they also have the back end of action in Liga MX Femenil with Santos Laguna and Juarez. Paramount Plus, very, very busy day. The Argentine Primera, they have 5 matches available for you. Platense Colón at 3:30. Bonfield Central Cordoba at 6, along with Sarmiento and Arsenal. 8:30. Atletico Tucumán, Rosario Central, Godoy Cruz, and Lanús. Serie A at 2:45 is Fiorentina and Atalanta. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Who's going where, who might be going where, who ain't going anywhere. Let's tell you what we know. Chelsea met with Nagelsmann, according to the Times, as they try to get their next permanent boss for Graham Potter. Luis Enrique was disappointed not to be appointed Chelsea manager prior to the Champions League quarterfinal first leg against Real Madrid, but is emerging as the favorite for the role because he could help in signing Gavi. That's according to AS. Real Madrid want to take advantage of a clause in the Erling Haaland contract to sign him away in summer of 2024. Arsenal targeting a move for Dusan Vlahovic with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Tom, as a backup option if they fail to land him. That's according to Football Insider. From the Times, Jude Bellingham would rather stay at Borussia Dortmund and reassess his future than make a move not right for him in the summer. Daily Mirror, former Liverpool striker Robbie Fowler believes that Liverpool are right not to spend the majority of their transferred budget on Jude Bellingham this summer, as they need a major midfield overhaul. Leipzig and Milan will compete to sign Valérien Balogun in the summer. You also have Napoli forward Victor Osimhen linked with Manchester United, but he has appeared to suggest he's happy at the Italian club. It's from our friends at TG5. Pep Guardiola pushing to keep Ilkay Gundogan and Bernardo Silva at the club, despite both players being linked with moves away. Besiktas want to re-sign Wout Weghorst with Manchester United unlikely to turn the loan move from Burnley into a permanent switch. Toni Kroos set to continue at Real Madrid for another season, with the 33-year-old ready to accept a contract extension. That is according to our friends at Marca. Going into the local papers, and local, what I mean by local is all the British papers. Let's see, checking out. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that might have been missed. Joan Laporta says that the club did nothing illegal by employing the company to consult on refereeing issues. Barcelona paid a little over €7 million from 2001 to 2018 to the company of Jose Mara Enriquez Negrera, former VP of Spanish football's refereeing committee. Laporta said, quote, consulting on technical refereeing issues does not constitute any kind of illegal act. Club's been charged by prosecutors in Spain, you'll remember, with corruption over payments made to companies owned by Negrera. And the charges filed include corruption in sport, corruption in business, false administration, and falsification of commercial documents. Barcelona have always denied buying referees or trying to influence officials. Laporta maintained that position at a press conference this morning. Quote, throughout its 123-year history, FC Barcelona has always been a model of fair play, both on and off the field. We've won for so many decades. It has undoubtedly been as a result of talent, effort, and knowledge. No campaign to discredit us will ever prevent the page from expanding. From continuing using organization reference in the world of sports, it's beloved by millions of Catalans, many more around the world. I am fully convinced that FC Barcelona has never performed any act with the intention of altering the competition to gain an advantage. So there's that. So you've got that from Joan Laporta this morning. PSG is monitoring Arteta, if you believe the three-letter paper in this process. The Mirror said that Arsenal are running the risk of losing Arteta with talks over a new contract being put on ice for the time being. And Wrexham, for those of you that are following what's going on in the National League, Wrexham are putting their celebrity status increasing again when Conor McGregor is going to put his forged Irish stout on sale at the nearby Turf Hotel in aid of the Your Space Autism charity backed by striker Paul Mullen. Avoiding the 3- and 4-letter paper, Chelsea admire Vincent Kompany, who led Burnley back to the Premier League, and Palmeiras' Portuguese coach Abel Ferreira. You've got, Daily Record. Mick Kennedy, the manager who led Darvel to the win over Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup earlier this year, has left the club. So success can only take you so far. Tottenham in pole position to sign a highly rated Kilmarnock teenager David Watson, with the possibility he'll spend time in London on trial, possibly as early as this week. Spurs also interested in his 16-year-old teammate Ben Brennan. And also former Celtic boss Neil Lennon warned players and staff that he was about to bring in forensic computer IT guys to try and find out the identity of the infamous Lennox Town leaker, who was putting team news out 24 hours before their matches. So you got that. That's a part of all of it too. Let's see if there's anything else going on as we go. Championship. We all know about the promotion relegation side. The promotion side, QPR's Gareth Ainsworth, who left, remember, Wycombe Wanderers to be the head coach at QPR, says his players are damaged and fragile as they embark upon a fight to stay in the championship. QPR were top of the league October 22nd, but have won just 2 of 26 since. 1 point above the relegation zone with 4 matches left. Just so you know, as you're following along, we know that Burnley is in. We know Burnley's good to go because we're with 46. So they have 5 matches to go. They clinched with 7 because they have a 12-point lead on Sheffield United, 91 points. They've only lost twice in 41 this year. Sheffield United's at 79. They've also got 5 matches to go. So here's how it looks. Luton Town, Middlesbrough, they're probably going to be your 3 and your 4 in some form or fashion. Now the fun starts. 5 is Millwall at 65 points. Blackburn Rovers are at 63. That would currently be your play-in, your promotion playoffs. Coventry City, John Nason, keeping his fingers crossed, with only a handful of matches to go. 4 matches to go for Coventry City. They're at 62 points. They're ahead of Preston North End on goal difference. Sunderland's at 61. They've got 4 matches to go. Michelle Not a Lab and her Norwich City Club are at 61 points. They have 4 matches to go. They're in 10th. West Brom, 11th at 60 points. Watford at 59. Watford has turned into a mess in the championship that they have been in the Premier League. So that's 59 points. Literally, you've got 6 points separating 8 clubs, 5 through 12. At the bottom, Wigan, 4 matches to go, 34 points. Blackpool's at 38. Reading is at 42, and they're in the relegation zone on goal difference. Jessica Charman is pulling her hair out. Cardiff City's at 42. QPR's at 43. Huddersfield's at 43. Rotherham's at 45. So if you just take Huddersfield, QPR, Cardiff, Reading, 1.4 teams, and that's your 3rd relegation spot, your race for 22nd. Blackpool and Wigan right now, 38 and 34. So the championship is just as competitive at the promotion playoff spot and at the bottom as it is otherwise. So there's a lot of stuff going on all around the world. Interview is very good. We'll see what happens. Excellent. Ricky. Fingers crossed, thumbs up. Glad that you got to have the interview on a Monday morning. Hopefully it will go over well. Once again, reminder before we go, it is at 5 o'clock, a little before, Atlanta Classical Academy and Lincoln County Girls in the GHSA playoffs. That's a little before 5 o'clock. That's your match today. We'll be at Midtown tomorrow, and then we're looking for Thursday. Keep an eye on your Thursday slate for Thursday night playoff action. Atlanta United 2 on Saturday. Atlanta United Chicago on Sunday. So a very, very busy week of soccer here in the SDH universe. And we are glad that all of you folks are a part of it with us here every single day. So that is it for a Monday. When we come back, 9:05 tomorrow, we'll talk about more stuff. It's Tuesday Thoughts. Mitch Northam joining us, and this one's going to be fun. 10 o'clock hour is going to start with Primetime Mitch. And Mitch has a book out. For those of you that might have missed this conversation earlier on in the show, Mitch Northam, Rowdy and Proud, Atlanta United's 2018 MLS Cup season and other Southern soccer stories. 244 pages, hardcover. You can get it at Amazon. We'll talk about putting this together, one author to another. We'll catch up with Primetime Mitch as he now has written his 2nd book available on Amazon. Very, very cool. So it'll be good to catch up with Mitch in the 10 o'clock hour on your Tuesday. But once again, remember, it is 5 o'clock soccer this afternoon on the network, and we'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning. So for everybody here at SDH, for Jason, for Jarrett, for Nick, I'm just John. Played safe, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us for another go-round of a Reaction Monday, over, under, and on par. The twos win. First team draws, goals for Yakimakis and Machop Chol, and we'll talk about it getting ready for Chicago coming up on the weekend. So that is the rundown here. We'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning. Since it's the end of the show, played safe, everybody. Much plot, y'all. It means I get to do this.